Dave is off today. He's back with us next week. But it is time to go to the hotline and bring in our guest, Bob Gerould, hoopobsession.com. You heard him on the call with the G-Man during the California Classic, and he is the personification of a hoops junkie. Bob joining me, Jason Ross, Jay Mars here. Bob, how are you?
I'm well. What's going on, Jay and Jay?
We are hanging in. I got to ask you if you're hanging in, because you're into this, and last night's game probably tested the limit of being a hoop junkie. That was a rough watch, wasn't it?
It was pretty bad. That was definitely not going to Springfield in the Hall of Fame. That was one of those where it was like, yeah, this is rough. Yeah, the Kings are challenged to score right now without Keegan Murray on that team, and I thought Colby Jones did a good job last night again. I thought he's been really good so far in summer. I like what I see there, but yeah, last night's game was rough.
Bob Gerould joining us. It's hoopsobsession.com. Let's talk about Colby Jones, though. I did really enjoy watching him, Bob, especially looking at him. He seems like a guy that can play both sides of the floor at the NBA level. But, coming in as a second-round pick and on a team with a deep bench like Sacramento, do you think we're going to see much action with him if nobody's getting hurt on the Kings roster?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be tough. I could see him, because he's such a jack of all trades, I could see him getting some time. And just, to my eyes, he looks like an NBA player. I thought he was the one guy out there last night really on the Kings summer team that just, looked like he fits. And, I love that he's a rebounding guard, but he's not limited to that. In college, one of my criticisms of him at Xavier was I thought that he lacked aggression sometimes, was just content to fit in and be a kind of a blender and a connector, which is fine. And, that may be his role at the NBA level. But without Keegan on this summer team, he's forced to step up, benefit him in the long run. So, but yeah, it's going to be tough because you got Malik Monk, obviously, he's going to come off the bench as a two guard. And they've been playing Colby Jones, actually starting him as a three here, but I don't think that's his natural position. I think two is his natural position. And, but maybe they'll be able to slide him in there and use his versatility sometimes as a backup three. And if Terrence Davis is down, then, maybe he gets some of those minutes, which were sporadic at best, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I like that term blender or connector, Bob, that you said about Colby Jones, because I think that's him, and that's not a knock, but I think the coaching staff, what they clearly did in the games you called with your dad on the California Classic, like they push Keegan, because Keegan can kind of be that sometimes, like blend, connect, just let the game go. But he attacked it, I think, at the California Classic, and I felt like at some point during the game last night, as rough of a watch as it was, I felt like they pushed him a little bit more. And I hope, how many ever games the Kings have left here in Vegas, I hope they push Colby to, go for it a little bit. And even if that's outside your comfort zone, that's okay here in Vegas to be the guy that takes 17 shots or so.
Yeah, they need him.
Yeah.
Yes. This team desperately, this summer team desperately needs some scoring. And, Queta went out, in the second half last night. Mm-hmm. And so then once they took that option away, it really was kind of Colby Jones or bust. I thought they brought in some of the periphery guys here on the summer team. Mike Daum came in and hit a couple baskets and provided some shooting. Alex O'Connell, same type of a deal. But yeah, shooting is an issue right now for this summer team, the way it's concocted, without Keegan Murray. So it'll be another good test, for Colby Jones to see what he can do, because the Kings are in action again tonight.
I want to run back to Neemias Queta real quick. I knew, to your point, he did leave and didn't play in the second half last night with a foot injury. From what you've seen from him so far in the limited time in Vegas, California Classic, and the way he's developed in Stockton, is this a guy that should be on an NBA roster, specifically the Kings, as kind of that 14th or 15th guy on the team?
I think that's probably about what he is. At this point, we've watched him enough to think that. I had some thoughts last year that maybe he would sneak in and be that third center for the Kings and maybe get in front of Alex Len, but then Alex Len played pretty well, especially late in the season. And, they're bringing Alex back. So I think that puts Queta behind the 8 ball again, as far as that's concerned. So there are some guys, that's just what it is. You're a deep bench guy, and the NBA's expanded the 2-way contracts, and so now we've got 18 players on rosters potentially, and it's pretty deep. I mean, if you there's no shame in it, but I just think that he hasn't really shown anything that makes me think that he's going to be a rotational guy in the NBA right now. And I'm sorry if that's tough to hear for Queta fans, but that's just kind of the way I see it.
Talk with Bob Gerould. Again, you can see his great work at hoopobsession.com. Kessler Edwards, Bob, I find myself liking him better than what I saw in the regular season last year around, the Kings' top talent versus what I've seen here, where I thought maybe this would be a chance for him to thrive. He hasn't been awful or anything like that, but I don't know. I think I saw more from him during the regular season last year than I have so far in Vegas. What have you seen from Kessler?
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head, and I agree. I was hoping for a little bit more here in this summer from Kess so far. The player I saw in college, he was the man, in college, and so they went to him, and he provided a lot of offense. And it wasn't just standing out at the 3-point line. I think I saw a stat that 62% of his shots last year in the regular season were spot-up threes, and I always felt like he had a little bit more than that. And some of the times that he's tried to do more than that here in summer, his ball handling hasn't been up to snuff, and he's gotten picked, trying to put the ball on the floor, or he'll get deep and then he'll get a shot block. And really he's had the most success he's had here in summer has been shooting, spot up threes, which really isn't his strength either. So, a great defender, and you can never discount that. We've seen him in summer league getting down and guarding the opposing point guard at times. So, I put a lot of value in that, and the stats won't reflect some of those things that Kessler can do, as in summer league as far as the defensive numbers are concerned. But I've been wanting a little bit more, and maybe he's the guy who will step up today and provide some more of that offense that the Kings summer team needs.
Bob, I want to hop off the Kings real quick and talk about some of the bigger names at Summer League, specifically Brandon Miller, semi-controversial pick going to Charlotte at number 2. A lot of people thought it should have been Scoot Henderson. What do you make of his struggles so far in both the California Classic and the Vegas Summer League?
Playing with a bunch of selfish dudes is what I make of it, honestly. And that's, my wife was last night, Jason had sent me a text and he said, you got to want to be on. And my wife and I were talking about Summer League and things that we might talk about here today. And don't be so negative. You should be, try to find them. And I'm just like, yeah, but so many people in the media that are connected to a team or connected to an agent or something like that. And I think that's kind of the beauty of where I fit in is I can give it to you straight with no chaser because I'm not connected to anybody. So Brandon Miller, the guys that James Bouknight he's playing with in the backcourt, he's not really a sharing type guy. He's out there looking for his own, and I think you could say the same about a lot of the guys on that roster. But I saw enough of Brandon Miller in college as an alert, forward that shoots with good accuracy. He's got good ball handling ability, 6'9".
Did we lose Bob?
I think so.
Okay.
Kyle, why don't you get Bob back on the line? But yeah, I think it's interesting what he's saying about Brandon Miller because I was kind of thinking the same thing. Is he kind of falling under the, dude, I'm playing with a bunch of not good players and this is not good for my game.
It's environmental, right? I think there's a lot of that in what you get drafted in, the organizational support, that kind of thing.
Yeah. All right, Bob, we lost you there for a second. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm back. Where'd you lose me at?
We lost you at just about Brandon Miller and, you not having to be, you can give us to it straight with no chaser. He's an accurate shooter.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I just think I watched him enough that I'm not too concerned. but he may struggle a little bit, but I think he's going to look a lot better playing with LaMelo Ball and some guys who can find him and share it and just be more well-rounded team players.
Yeah, and your years of doing this, and you've looked at your opinion of these guys in college, and so much. I mean, how much of this, I should ask you, Bob, is organizational or environmental, I should say, because I think going to Charlotte is a tough situation. Doesn't mean if you're a good player you can't thrive, but if you're put in that sweet spot of an organization that's kind of run well and has a foundation, that culture that people always are talking about, it just sets you up so much better. So I think this is a tough spot for him to really thrive.
I agree. It's Charlotte has not been a good franchise over the years, and their scouting department, I thought took some risks that I would like to see them go a little bit more conservatively with some of the guys that they have on their summer team. But no, I mean 100%. If he goes to the Spurs or the Warriors or one of those teams, that obviously would have had to have traded up for him. I think things might be a little bit different than they look so far for him here in the summer. But like I said, I saw him enough in college that I think he's going to be okay.
Bob Gerould, hoopobsession.com, joining us this morning. Summer League, not just for young guys trying to showcase their worth around the league, but now you're seeing a lot of older veterans looking for maybe a team to pick up with, someone to grab them. Isaiah Thomas is out there working out. Harry Giles just did a workout yesterday. Anybody you're seeing out there in that ilk that you think still deserves a roster spot in the NBA?
We were talking about Harry, and Sacramento has a love affair with Harry Giles, and rightfully so. I mean, what a guy, what a human being, and it's terrible that injuries to his knees have kind of cut short his NBA career. The last time I saw Harry play, I saw him play a G League game in the Clippers organization, and he was great. I thought he was the best player on the floor, but the very next game he didn't play. And, because of the knees, and he had the knee soreness. So I really think it's as simple as that with Harry. It's, how many games can we get out of him? Is he willing to fight through some of that knee soreness, instead of just saying, no, I can't go today. I think it's going to come down to that. If he's willing to fight through it, and if he can physically fight through it, I think he's still very much an NBA player. I don't think there's any question about it. And as far as some of the other guys bouncing around, we've seen some guys 27 years old, 28 years old, still out here, trying to find their niche, and God bless them. I mean, you don't ever take away someone's dream. All these guys want to get to the NBA. A guy like Sam Merrill, who had a quick cup of coffee with the Kings and was, I believe, the last roster cut a couple years back. I don't know if you remember, he had a great preseason game, was the player of the game. I remember my dad interviewed him after the game, and my dad talked to me right after that about, man, what a great interview Sam Merrill was. He looks you right in the eye, and my dad really appreciated all that stuff about him. Next day he got cut, and it's a rough life. But yesterday I thought he was amazing. He made 8 3-pointers for the Cavs and led them to a victory. So the dream is alive. I think he has a roster spot on the Cavs, but it's always good to have a great showing here and kind of solidify your spot, so one of these young buckaroos doesn't come and steal it away from you, because they're out here. I mean, it is amazing, Jason. I know you know this just from looking at the rosters and, all 30 teams here to fill up a summer league. The depth of talent in basketball, everyone trying to get one of those coveted, what is there, 450 spots in the NBA. Maybe now it's up to 480 since we're adding another 30 on the third two-way contract. But I mean, that's it in the whole world. That those are the spots available, and it is extremely competitive and extremely tough. And you better be a professional who's willing to play, through some injuries and have a boatload of talent if you're going to crack one of these rosters in the NBA.
Yeah, it's a special time out here for these guys trying to do that. It's Bob Gerould, hoopobsession.com. Just give us a glimpse of your schedule today. We know the Kings play tonight. Are you at the arena all day? What's your day like today?
We'll probably get there in time to catch like 2.5 games. I got my wife and my dad here with me, and so we're all kind of rolling together. If it was just me solo, I'd probably be there a little bit earlier. But yeah, so we're gonna try to catch the ending of Brooklyn, Milwaukee, and then we'll watch all of Phoenix and New Orleans, and then of course we'll stick around for Chicago and Sacramento a little bit later on. That's the 7:00 game tonight in the Cox Pavilion. So
yeah,
Kings have had a lot of late games here in Vegas this year.
Yeah, they got the whole. I don't know if that's respect or not, or giving them the worst slot. I'm not sure, but they'll be on prime time tonight. Bob, we'll see you out there. Thank you so much for joining us. Keep up the amazing work at hoopobsession.com, and I know we'll talk to you again soon.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks, Bob.
All right. Thank you, Bob Gerould, hoopobsession.com. Again, he loves it. The site is amazing. Got to check out all the different things he does there, whether it's current players, next year's draft, this year's group. I mean, he's just got all that content. It's amazing work. Jay and I will recap some of the things, some of the points he made, and some of the stuff